They call it the Playground of Giants, a vast cathedral of stone and ancient pines that attracts nearly 4 million people every year. Yosemite National Park is the crown jewel of the American wilderness, a place where the majestic Sierra Nevada peaks seem to touch the heavens. But as the shadows grow long in the high country, a different story emerges from the granite. A story of a systematic silence that has been maintained by federal authorities for nearly half a century. Every year, hundreds of people are reported missing in our national parks. Most are found within hours, perhaps having taken a wrong turn or underestimated the terrain. But there is a specific category of cases that cluster in the rugged backcountry of Yosemite, where the rules of survival and the laws of physics simply do not apply. These are the vanishings that the National Park Service has managed with absolute precision, often hiding the truth behind a wall of redacted ink and $1 million price tag for information. On a bright July afternoon, at an elevation of 9,000 feet, a 14-year-old girl named Stacey Arras set out for a short walk to take a photograph. She was surrounded by friends, within earshot of her camp, and watched by a professional guide. Yet she stepped into a pocket of silence and never returned. Stacey didn't just wander off, she vanished from the face of the earth in a way that searchers later described as impossible. Today, we are opening the suppressed files of the Yosemite High Country. We're investigating the $1.4 million database the government fought to keep secret, the sound pockets that induce a state of primal fear, and the terrifying reality of what happens when a journey tragically ends exactly where it was supposed to be safest. This is the truth about the Yosemite disappearances that the rangers were never able to explain. To understand the tactical anomaly of Stacey Arras, we have to look at the geometry of her last known point. On July 17th, Stacey arrived at the Sunrise High Sierra Camp as part of a 10-person horseback trip. She was energetic, stable, and in high spirits. After taking a shower and settling into her cabin, she told her father she wanted to walk a short distance toward a nearby ridge to capture the late afternoon light. At her father's insistence, she even changed out of her flip-flops and laced up heavy hiking boots with specialized soles, specifically for this short photography excursion. She wasn't alone. An elderly companion, a 77-year-old man from her group, started the walk with her, but after just a few hundred yards, the terrain proved too much for him. He sat down on a log to rest, watching Stacey continue up the trail toward the ridge. Only moments later, a camp guide working at the nearby corral spotted Stacey. She was standing on a large rock just 50 yards south of the main trail. She was in broad daylight. She was less than 200 feet from people who knew her. But when Stacey didn't return for dinner, the atmosphere at Sunrise Camp shifted from leisure to absolute dread. The search began while the sun was still high. Rangers and staff combed the exact spot where she had been seen standing on that rock. They expected to find her within minutes, perhaps having tripped or suffered a minor injury. Instead, they found a forensic vacuum. In almost every wilderness incident, there is a signature, a scuff mark in the dirt, a broken branch, a dropped item, or a biological trace. But in Stacey's case, it was as if she had been lifted off the trail. Her father would later reflect on their final conversation about those hiking boots. If Stacey had planned on leaving intentionally, she would not have gone to the trouble of changing her footwear for a 5-minute walk. She was prepared for the mountain, yet the mountain seemed to have a plan for her that no one could have anticipated. By the second morning, the effort had transformed into one of the most intensive operations in the history of the Sierra Nevada. Over 100 personnel were mobilized. 8 canine teams, including specialized bloodhounds and German shepherds, were flown into the high country. 3 helicopters logged over 40 hours in the air, scanning the granite domes and deep ravines with military-grade thermal imaging. But even with these overwhelming resources, the results were devastatingly thin. The only piece of physical evidence recovered in the entire search was a single camera lens cap. Think about the implications of that discovery. They found the lens cap, but not the camera it belonged to. They didn't find the windbreaker she was wearing, her boots, a single fiber of clothing, or a drop of blood. It was as if the lens cap was a marker, a final coordinate left behind in a place where the fabric of our reality had been stretched thin. The tracking dogs provided the most unsettling clue of all. Under normal conditions, these animals can track a scent for miles, even days after an event. But at the Sunrise Camp, the dogs were reportedly unable to pick up any scent at all. Rangers officially blamed the dry and dusty conditions, but independent researchers suggest a recurring pattern. They point to hundreds of other cases in Yosemite where dogs reached a specific spot, often near water or massive granite boulder fields, and simply sat down, refusing to trail any further, sometimes showing signs of visible terror. The park superintendent eventually summed up the situation in 3 haunting words: "Nothing significant found." After thousands of man-hours and tens of thousands of dollars spent, the search was called off. The Saratoga teenager was gone, and the official record began its process of sterilization. But the Arras case is not an isolated event. Yosemite National Park has more unsolved cold cases than almost any other park in the national system. When you map these incidents, you don't see a random distribution, you see clusters. Just a few square miles around the Sunrise High Sierra Camp act as a vortex for the unexplained. In 1968, 13 years before Stacey vanished, the remains of an unidentified male were found in a deep crevice near Tenire Peak, just a short distance away. Forensic analysis showed no broken bones, meaning the subject didn't fall into the hole. He was either placed there or entered through unknown means. Then there is the case of Timothy Barnes, who vanished in the late 1980s near Murphy Creek. Like Stacey, he was an experienced hiker in peak physical condition. He walked onto a popular, well-traveled trail and simply ceased to exist. More recently, George Penka was hiking with a group of 20 people from his church. In broad daylight on a busy trail near Upper Yosemite Falls, he became separated from his friends for just a few minutes. Despite knowing the exact time and location of his disappearance, not a single clue was ever found. What links these cases together? It is the missing 411 profile, proximity to water, high-altitude locations, and the presence of massive granite formations. Researchers and skeptics alike are forced to confront a disturbing question. Is there something inherent in the geology of Yosemite that disrupts human perception? Or are we looking at a pattern of behavior from a responsible party, human or otherwise, that knows exactly where the blind spots of our world are located? This is where the mystery moves from the forest into the halls of government power. When investigators or families seek the truth about these vanishings, they encounter a wall of red tape that feels more like a tactical defense. When a prominent researcher filed a Freedom of Information Act request for a centralized list of missing people across the entire national park system, the agency reportedly cited a processing fee of $1.4 million. For a single park like Yosemite, the cost was quoted at over $30,000. Why would a public agency make its most basic safety statistics so difficult to obtain? The handling of Stacey Arras' investigative file, Case 816045, is even more provocative. Decades later, the National Park Service continues to deny requests for the full file, invoking a legal muafiat known as FOIA Exemption 7A. This rule is reserved for records compiled for law enforcement purposes whose release could interfere with enforcement proceedings. By invoking this rule, the government is essentially admitting that the Arras case is still considered an active criminal investigation. But if it's just a tragic accident in the woods, why keep the files under a 40-year lock and key? Whistleblower accounts from former rangers suggest a culture of reputational preservation. They claim that the higher-ups fear that if the public knew the true number of impossible disappearances, tourism revenue would plummet. Memos from the Arras search even mention that something fell through the cracks regarding coordination, yet the specifics remain hidden behind heavy black redactions. Is it just bureaucratic incompetence, or is the National Park Service hiding the existence of a hazard they cannot explain? Whether it's infrasound generated by high-velocity waterfalls causing a state of primal fear, or magnetic fluctuations within the granite crust disrupting the brain's temporal lobes, the truth about Yosemite's missing remains a jagged hole in our understanding. The tighter they grip the files, the more we know there is something worth hiding. If you want to help us shed light on these hidden shadows and declassify more of our world's forbidden archives, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Your engagement helps the algorithm push these investigations to more people who are looking for the truth beneath the surface. What is your theory on the Yosemite clusters? Is it the geology, or is there a responsible party lurking in the blind spots of the high country? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We are also listening to your suggestions. Let us know what classified file or missing person case you want us to archive next. We are reading every one of your comments. But the mysteries of the high country aren't the only ones managed by powerful interests. If you think the cover-ups in Yosemite are unsettling, you need to see our investigation into the Bermuda Triangle, secret files of the underwater Area 51. We go deep into the tongue of the ocean to uncover the records of a naval base where the fabric of space and time is allegedly being tested, and where objects rise from the depths to accelerate to lunatic speeds. You can watch that investigation right here. The archives are open. Stay curious. I'll see you in the next mystery.